Okay, you should be live. Nobody's gonna be on this.
Maybe after you
Special counsel meeting.
Are we ready, Nikki?
Yeah,
I have our petition
Okay, let me
for
take
Brian
you-
and myself for the
There you go.
council. We got it run with us. I gotta get your signatures if I could. Yeah, this November. Jennifer's running again and Brian's running and myself. Yeah, Ray and Diane were the last time.
I said I tried to find the lightest clothing I could. Without being
Grayson's down
yeah. So I got the tank top on, and I'm like, I can't go in there with the tank top on. But thank you.
it's probably working, most likely.
It's okay. I saw it as soon as I looked in the mirror.
See, Brian's got the white on, so now we're red, white, and blue.
There you go.
Catty
Oh, now
corner,
that Tom's here,
triangle.
Oh, yeah, red, white, and white, right?
Ladies, what up?
Hello.
Hello.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Okay.
How you doing? Everything good?
Showing
How are you?
All right, John, we're waiting for you to get settled there.
Yes, sir. Just need to find my pen. Well, I got one here, I think.
Everybody else good?
I'm good. Go.
Okay. Ready? Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the special council meeting of the Village of Walton Hills, Friday, June 27, 2025 at 5:04 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Nielsen?
Here.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Here.
Councilwoman Allen?
Here.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Here,
Councilman Whedon?
Present.
All of council here, along with our fiscal officer, Nicole Sell, our law solicitor, John Montello, and our economic development consultant, Thomas Jordan. Next item is pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Normally, we do the mayor's report in our regular council meeting. We didn't do it in the last meeting. Couldn't make that meeting, so I will do it in this meeting. So we'll be caught up when we come back. But we'll still be behind a couple months, but we'll be up to date like we should be after this meeting. So the mayor's court revenue for the month of May 2025. The Walton Hills Police Department issued 88 citations in the month of May. The predominant violation was speed with 44 citations issued, followed by 10 citations issued for expired plates and 10 citations issued for driving under suspension. We had 2 arrests for driving while under the influence of alcohol/drugs. Okay. The mayor's revenue court report. The total revenue for the month of May was $13,155.23. Year to date, $83,289.91. Last year to date was $110,809. That concludes that report. What we have, we set up this special council meeting. Our intent, because we had the hearings and stuff, was for the community development block grant. To finalize that, we had to give time and stuff. But also there was some other things that we worked on in the COW meetings and the council meeting that we decided to bring forward, and a couple housekeeping items. One of them was for me appointing 2 members to the Turk. So we'll go through them first. Do we want to vote on them as we go through them, or go through them and then go back
just vote on them as we go
Vote,
through.
everybody good with that? Okay. So we have item A, resolution 2025-26, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to make declarations of official intent pursuant to and in accordance with the Treasury Regulations, Section 1.150, and approving related matters and declaring an emergency. This is our second reading for this. Or we could pass it under suspension. We talked quite a bit about it. Does anybody have any questions for Nikki related to that, or anything you want to add, Nikki?
Mr. Mayor, I would just ask Nicole to just briefly describe what this is for anybody who, in the audience or in maybe watching.
So basically, this resolution would allow the village to pay themselves back for money issued for capital projects. It gives us the ability, if we should need in the general fund, to pay us back from bond issue later in the year.
And that's not, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
that's not, when you say bond issue, that's not where we would go out like the schools go out for a bond issue or the municipalities. That's for us selling
Correct.
bonds out to the public and getting the money from that and paying those back.
Correct.
Thank you.
And this was a recommendation from Matt Stawinski, who we use, helps Nikki out as one of our financial consultants, and also helps us with our notes. And we did have him here, as you know, for a meeting to discuss that. Okay.
Mr.
Mayor
Mayor?
Colgraf, yeah, I like to offer, when time comes, to suspend the third reading of this and introduce this legislation tonight for adoption.
Okay, do you guys?
Yes.
So let's do them then individually and just, let's get through them.
Mayor Colgraf
Okay.
and members of council,
Councilman Whedon?
I'd like to introduce resolution number 2025-26, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to make declarations of official intent pursuant to and in accordance with Treasury Regulations Section 1.150 and approving related matters and declaring an emergency. And I'd like to introduce this as a third and final read, suspending the three reading rule.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor Colgraf, members of council, I'd like to ask for the adoption of resolution number 2025-26.
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution passed 5-0. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we have item B, resolution 2025-27, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the village engineer to make application for a community block grant in the amount of $150,000, as well as to make application for 2026 community development supplemental grant in the amount of $50,000 and declaring an emergency. Who would like to introduce that, or is there any other questions related to that?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce that for suspension.
Okay, everybody good with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to introduce for suspension Resolution 2025-27, a resolution authorizing the mayor and village engineer to make application for a community development block grant in the amount of $150,000, as well as to make application for a 2026 community development supplemental grant in the amount of $50,000 and declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, Councilwoman Kanzoni. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, suspension passed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2025-27.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Kanzoni. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Resolution 2025-27 passed, 5-0. Okay, we got item C, Resolution 2025-28, a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of 2 members of the Tax Incentive Review Council in the Village of Walton Hills and declaring an emergency. I would like to ask for your support. I would like to appoint Mike Cummings and John Delano. Mike Cummings is a tax attorney. He served on the board a while back. I'd like to bring him back. It meets once a year. There's no compensation, and I felt was to be the appropriate ones to sit on that board for our third party. It could have been myself or even a council member, or myself and a council member, but I know I had some discussion with everybody here. We felt, I felt appointing, and I think everybody here agreed with the 2 residents, just to kind of put some more eyes on it. And we need to get that done because we got a meeting coming up. So I would like to ask for you to support me in appointing those 2 members.
Mr. Mayor?
Who would like to introduce?
I can introduce that. I know both of those gentlemen, and they've worked various aspects of village business before, throughout the years, especially Mike Cummings, and being a tax attorney, and he's been on various commissions and stuff, and I don't know 2 more
Qualified.
yeah, qualified and just they're gonna represent the village well in that committee. So I don't have any issue with either one of them. So I'd be happy to introduce this.
Okay. We'll let you introduce.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce Resolution 2025-28, a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of 2 members of the Tax Incentive Review Council in the Village of Walton Hills, Ohio, and declaring an emergency for suspension.
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2025-28.
Is there a
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2025-28 passed. Thank you, everybody. 5-0. We have item D, which is Resolution 25-29, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an environmental covenant for the purpose of subjecting the property known as the former Bedford Anodizing Company, property located at 7010 Crick Road, the property, to activity and use limitations dictated by the Ohio EPA and US EPA, and declare an emergency. We do have Tom Jordan here tonight to kind of just talk about it briefly, and if John needs to add anything on the legal side of it. Council's aware this is something, we acquired this property through the land bank, correct, Tom? And as you know, we've been working on getting it cleaned up. Tom's worked hard in that process along with our building department to get it cleaned up at 0 cost, which is the key to anything. So this is kind of another part of that. Tom, you just kind of want to give a little briefing on that?
Yes, 7010 Crick Road was owned by the Bedford Anodizing Company. They entered into an agreement with the EPA over 10 years ago to clean up the place. Instead, they vacated the premise, didn't pay their taxes. The property came back to the Village of Walton Hills Land Reutilization Program. The city, or the village, at that point, applied to the EPA to finish will actually really start the cleanup process. There were some waste collection points for the metals to be collected inside the building, and those had to be cleaned out. We had at least 3 grants, one to do an assessment for the extent of the work to be performed, and then 2 different grants to clean it up. They were cleaned up. Now the problem is that we have to record what was done on the site and restrict the site. Basically, you can't have any type of residential use at the site. Once that is recorded, the city or the property really will be in a saleable condition with those deed restrictions. Essentially, you're recording a deed restriction that it cannot be used for residential purposes, and also tells the future buyers that there was some contamination on the site. It has been a long process, and part of it is that, you know, the grants, applying for the grants, getting the grants, performing the work, getting the contractors to do the work, having the work reviewed by the EPA, having the EPA approve it. So these many years later, it's done. The next step on the project is we get this recorded, and then there's still a structure that is there. It's barely hanging on. And that will have to be, an environmental survey will be performed on the building looking for asbestos. And then ideally, it would also be demolished. So we're hoping the land bank, the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, will assist in that. I've been talking to them over the years. They said as soon as you're able to get this cleanup performed on the waste collection, we could do the building. So hopefully that will go forward after we get this recorded. And that's it.
And then our goal after that would be to market it.
Market it, and the neighbor has expressed interest over the years, and I relatively confident that property will be, someone will be interested in it, whether it be the neighbor or someone else. So, and then ideally get it into productive hands and out of the land bank.
It's in our industrial district.
Yeah.
So even though nobody would ever want to put a house there either, unless they want to be next to the chemical company. Okay, so any questions for anybody for Mr. Jordan relating to that, or John?
I have one.
Yes.
Just a quick question. I read that it was, the revised was sent this afternoon by Mr. Montello. I read through it.
The covenant?
Yeah, the covenant. So if we eventually sell that, which hopefully we eventually do, we are free and clear of that covenant. It goes
With the property.
with
yeah.
the property. We
Right.
have no,
And we didn't contaminate the site,
correct.
and it duly notes that, too. So it's the Bedford Advertising Inc. or whatever.
So nothing can ever come back on Walton Hills. It goes with
Right.
subsequent.
The benefit of taking it in the land bank's name is that by state statute, the sponsoring village or city is not held liable for it.
It's a separate.
So you sort of take it into a neutral third party for a while until you're able to get it cleaned up, and then back again, ideally cleaned up, which we hope it will be, and then it could go back into productive use. But the covenant recites the fact and the whole process, what was done, when it was done, and why it was done. And the covenant helps, actually, the village.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions related to that?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Tom, do you have any idea how long that will take? I mean, I know it was started in 18, so
Well-
is this like possibly another 4 or 5 years?
No, actually, we're in a wait, the EPA has published a notice about 7010 and asked any of the neighbors or any of the public if they have any comments. That notice period ends July 7th. The law director is going to make a couple of corrections on the covenant. It'll be circulated to the EPA director and to the mayor for signature. The village will have it recorded, and then the remaining steps that I mentioned earlier about getting the building demoed and assessed. Relative to cleanup and cost and process, it should be a lot quicker, as long as the monies are there and available. There has been a lot of money there and available, but we're in a little different period now. So I hope that we should be able to make it available for sale, I hope on the outside 2 years. It could be quicker, depending on the availability of funds. If the village wants to pay for the asbestos survey and the demo on its own, you could get it down and out of there within 6 months, but we'll try the grant process first.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Someone would like to introduce that for suspension?
Mr. Mayor, I will.
Okay. Councilwoman Allen?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce for suspension Resolution 2025-29, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an environmental covenant for the purpose of subjecting the property known as the former Bedford Anodizing Company, property located at 7010 Crick Road, to activity and use limitations dictated by the Ohio EPA and the U.S. EPA and declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Whedon. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2025-29.
Second.
Second by Councilman Whedon. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Pass 5-0. Yeah, it would be nice. We're hoping that the neighboring businesses will be interested in that. Okay. We have item E, Resolution 2025-30, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an option and real estate purchase and sale with agreement with Counterflow Energy LLC, Counterflow, for the real property described as permanent parcel number 794-34-031, consisting of approximately 2.651 acres, and declaring an emergency. That is something we've talked quite a bit about. That is the property on Northfield Road, next to the small substation there. This company is electrical storage company. We'll have Tom touch base on that, kind of give a briefing on that and what we, kind of go over what this agreement is.
Brief overview, we did talk about this at the last point, is that the land bank also owns a property that's adjacent to a substation. The significance of that is probably you've all become more aware that in the state of Ohio and across the country, the power grids need more ability to produce power because of the demands of technology. And as a result, they're turning to the private sector in efforts to do that. So what the person that is optioning the property is going to essentially build a battery plant there. They're going to take the power off the grid at hours that the cost of doing so is lower. In the middle of the night, the cost of using power is lower, and then they'll sell it at a peak hour and make money on the difference. There is a huge regulatory process that they have to go through in order to get this project approved. During that period, they've asked for a 5-year period for them to option the process while they get their approvals on it. If the property is approved to do the project, there is significant, they would close on the property, pay the land bank the monies, and then and also pay a pilot, which is referred to as a pilot, as money to the village, essentially as if there were people working there, an annual payment. So all of that was what was in the deal when we last discussed this. However, there were concerns about if, when we optioned the property to a private landowner during the option period, would the city or the village be responsible for the real estate taxes? So John was successful in negotiating two changes to the agreement that, John, did you want to talk about?
Yes, sir. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
One is, they agreed to pay up to $5,000 per year for any taxes that might be assessed if we record the option, which I believe we're going to. So, and I did some research about what the yearly taxes are, and they're about right around $5,000, actually less than that. And also, they've agreed to contribute, well, a total of $25,000 for any back taxes, which might be owed should we sell the property, you know, so should they exercise the option, so. The back taxes as of 2024 were $46,000, I believe.
And those are typically held in abeyance until the property is sold. So ideally, that's what will happen, is that that number will increase because the property, no one's paying any taxes while it's in the land bank, and then those taxes would be paid off the sale price. If the county should determine that during the period of option that you're not either holding it for public use, and as such you should be assessed taxes, there's a provision in there for the company to pay the first $5,000. Annually, that's about what the property was assessed at. There's a lot of ifs in there, but that is what attorneys do, is try to limit the exposure that the village would have during the option period and maximize the return to the village once it is sold. I think you heard the people that did the option. You got about a 1 in 4 chances of this going through based on the regulatory process. Not bad odds. Better than anybody else. You're very lucky that this land ended up in the city's hands and that someone wants to potentially pay you that much and is willing to do an option with you. So I do think it is, and I would think any other user except for the neighboring property owner, which we called and they did not want to take the property, would, you know, this is probably your best option, and 1 in 4 chance is better than what you get in Vegas, so, you know.
And the amount, the purchase price, the amount is way more than the
Well over
appraised
market,
value.
yeah, with the appraised value was only $200,000, you know, so. And John, I'm sorry, what are they paying again?
They're $500,000 per acre. So if they're, it's 2.6 acres, so it's roughly about $1,300,000.
And the number I quoted you was for all of the acreage.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So, not
yeah,
bad.
yeah. They're a little concerned that the amount usable might change, and there was no current survey, so they want it down to the fraction of the property. That all, you know, that has to do with the analysis of how usable. There may be another property that is adjacent to a power grid that is 5 acres, and they decide, well, I'm going to use the bigger property. So that's why that acreage thing is very important. That's all theoretical.
Does anybody have any further questions?
Yeah.
Councilman Weed.
Yeah, Mayor Quilliger, I have one question regarding the, not the back taxes, but should, during the pilot period, if there's improvement on the property per se, during the pilot, if they construct a building or two,
Mhm.
and should the property value then increase above, you know, what it is now,
Mhm.
and the taxes therefore go up, and it exceeds the
The way
5,000?
the option is, they only have authority to do testing on it, but not to perform any improvement on it until after the sale goes through. And after the sale goes through, it's in their name and they're liable for the taxes. So you
Is it
follow?
feasible? Yeah, I do, but is it feasible to be able to test and without constructing something?
Any permanent structure that would be taxable, yes,
Okay.
absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Any other questions? I know we've talked about this quite a bit. You have Tom's opinion, I think everybody's opinion, it's, if they get the approval, I think it's gonna be a good fit for the for the village. It's, clean energy, I mean, it's not, the site isn't, intrusive, it's, not noisy or anything, it's, I think will be a good fit, so if everybody's in favor, if we could
Yeah, you know,
pass it for suspension and get,
it actually is a product of CEI they were going through bankruptcy. Part of the bankruptcy, they were trying to get rid of property they were paying taxes on that they weren't productive, and they shed it. I think if they knew what would have held the future, they might have held on to it. You know?
right. Right,
Mr. Mayor?
yes. yeah.
I think it's a great thing for that piece of land. It's very conducive for something like that. Not many other businesses by the shape of it, and I'd be happy to introduce it for suspension tonight.
I just add one more thing, maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just, I don't know how many of your power went out this week, but that would be, they would have probably sold power at that, so we would not have gotten our power out, or some other communities would have got their power out, so it's a good thing going forward.
Yeah, we're very, I mean, it just fits right because we do have that substation right there. It's not something you just put anywhere, so that's why they're very interested in making it happen. Okay, so everybody, any other questions? Any questions from our live audience? Okay.
Yeah, the question I had with regards to the first one we talked about was both the common flow energy building and the other one with
The cleanup?
the cleanup. What's the size of this in terms of acreage or square footage?
The counterflow site, which we'll call it that, still belongs to the village, is 2.6 acres. And off the top of my head, the Crick Road site had a building on it that was, it's not large.
No, I was gonna say, what, 15,000 square feet maybe?
Was the building,
Yeah.
and it's sitting on probably less than, it's probably about 2 acres too, at most, I think.
Mayor Colgraf,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm reading the covenant, and it says property, this environmental covenant concerns an approximate 3.0 acre tract
Great.
of real property, which is presently addressed as 7010 Creek Road, 3 acres.
oh, a little more than I even thought, yeah.
I think it abuts that railroad back there, yeah.
For the Creek Road, what was the cost, maybe I missed it, the cost of the abatement, get it cleaned up?
Oh, my gosh.
Good question.
To this point,
Yeah.
to this point, my guess is that through assessment costs and cleanup, it's about $150,000, I think. And
So the Creek Road.
that's Crick Road. And to take it down and to get another assessment on it, I would hope it's less than 50. But so far, we've been able to get grants on it.
And the other property,
And-
maybe if you're not, where the counterflow go, and that's that green space right on Northfield Road, right where that substation is. If you were going, north, it would be on the right-hand side there, kind
And
of that green area there.
yeah, the key part of this, you ask a good question about what did it actually end up costing. It isn't a bad question, but the reason we had it through a grant in the EPA was that once you start a cleanup, you've got to keep going. you can't leave, if you discover there's more down there, you can't leave it there. You can't close the hole back up and say, I'm not doing that anymore. So the way the grant worked was they would continue to test until they hit clean earth, and then they would stop the project, and that's what happened. We were able to get it, and then the EPA, that's where the EPA monitoring comes in. And that's why they have a formal closure, is that yes, we watched them clean it up, yes, we agree they cleaned it far enough, and we agree with this, the cleanup that was done. So that is the key part of why people don't want to take on environmentally contaminated property, is that no one's ever very sure about how contaminated it is until you start the process. And that's why people won't buy it. They're like, I won't buy a property that way because, one, I know that's contaminated, two, I don't know what the cost will be to clean it up.
Any other questions from council? Jennifer, would you like to introduce that then?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce for suspension, Resolution Number 2025-30, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an option and real estate purchase and sale agreement with Counterflow Energy LLC for the real property described as permanent parcel number 794-34-031, consisting of approximately 2.651 acres, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, suspension passed 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2025-30.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Pass 5-0. We have item 6, which is other business. We have a few items. One we put on there, alternative energy, but we also do have one Councilman Allen's going to talk about, which is, we kind of briefly talked a little bit about it, which is the cameras. It's something that's kind of developed in the last week or so. It's gotten worse, so we'll just talk about that. But we'll start with Brian. You want to talk about item A under other business?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. How this, I'll give you a very brief rundown of the progression of this, how it came about, or where it is to this point. In April, way back in 2021, the Planning Commission spoke with Mr. George Smerigan. He does he's a consultant for us doing zoning legislation. And he had written a draft ordinance concerning solar arrays that was at that time coming up with, it was an issue with various municipalities in the state because people were starting to put these solar arrays up. So that was in April 1st of 2021. June 1st of 2021, the Infrastructure Committee received the draft from Mr. Smerigan, and we had a meeting. After that meeting, we had researched various municipalities on their current ordinances that they had, and we had made some revisions. On June 15th of 21, the committee had another meeting. They reviewed the revised or the suggested revisions, and with Mr. Smerigan. And on August 17th, 21, the committee received the revisions from Mr. Smerigan, which is what I forwarded to each and every one of you and the mayor, and Rob Kalman was in on those meetings also. By the way, at that time, the committee chairman was Mr. Linville, and both Mr. Whedon and I sat on that committee. Mr. Smergen sent us that, and basically that included all of our recommendations. And the things that were recommended off of his draft, there's two main sections of that, 127607 and 127608. In section 127607, with both roof-mounted solar arrays in residential and non-residential, we made the recommendation, ground-mounted electrical and control equipment shall be labeled and secured to prevent unauthorized access. That is in the legislation, or the proposed legislation. And also, accessory components shall be screened in accordance with Chapter 1298. That sentence was already included in the freestanding or ground-mounted solar arrays, and we thought that it should be also in the roof-mounted. Also in 127608, which covers freestanding and ground-mounted solar arrays, we added two things. We added solar panels, which is also included in the roof-mounted. Solar panels shall be installed to avoid glare or reflection onto adjacent properties and rights-of-way. And we also added solar arrays shall not contain advertising visible from off the premises. So those were the things we had. Mr. Smergen agreed with them, and he included them in his final draft. Since then, I really don't know what happened, but the committee dropped the ball somehow on that. And I know there was a lot of things going on with other issues that we were dealing with, but it never got sent back to planning for their final review of it, to send it back to us so we could vote on it. I contacted Mr. Smergen a few weeks ago and sent him his copy again and asked him if he had any revisions based on current law, and he, I believe I forwarded that email to everybody. He said that it was fine just the way it is, it complies with current law, and it's good to go. A question was whether or not we had to send that back to the Planning Commission for their review. And Mr. Montello referenced Chapter 1256 in his email. I did look at it, but I'm sure Mr. Montello can speak more educatedly on it than I can. My review of it is that it should go back to planning for their review, and then it comes back to us for our final vote. Is that correct, Mr. Montello?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yes, it is. It's correct. So we should have them review it one more time, you know, and, or I don't know if they ever reviewed it, but we should present it to them, and they recommend back that council should pass, if that's what they recommend. They may decide to make other changes, however, you know, you never know, you know, depending, you know, so we'll see what their final recommendation is. They can also recommend other changes if they so choose.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Mayor, if we all agree this evening to send it as the way it's written in draft form back to the Planning Commission, I can email this document to the Planning Commission if you want, and to all the members of the Planning Commission, and tell them what's going on with it, and ask them for their review.
No problem. As chairman of the Planning Commission, and we have Councilman President Whedon here with us. He's also a member of the Planning Commission, so I'm in agreement with that too. So yeah, that's fine. We'll set up a meeting with planning.
I concur.
So
Do we need to, Mr. Montello, do we need to make a motion to send it, an actual motion, or?
Mayor, I would say yes, why not?
Okay. Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to send the draft Chapter 1276 Alternative Energy Facilities to the Planning Commission for their review.
Second.
second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the motion.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kanzoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay. 5-0 on that motion to move that forward, and we'll move that forward to the planning commission, and we'll have a meeting and review that, and hopefully get that back to council. I don't know if we'll have a special meeting, but maybe right when we come back, put it on there. But if we do have a meeting, then we'll throw it on there.
There is a time limit on this, Mr. Mayor,
Oh,
on this
okay,
section
that might
1256. There's, yeah, of when they're going to have a meeting, you might, I believe they have 30 days or 60 days, and then we have 60 days once we get it back to vote on it. If it's not dealt with within that time frame, then it's null and void.
I don't see no problem. John will review that, we'll get it,
Yeah.
we'll get it done in that time frame. And, you know, I think you were a little harsh on yourself and the committee and this council and stuff.
It's
By
all
saying you
Mr.
dropped- by
Whedon's
saying you
fault.
dropped- Because we were, you guys were working on there was a lot going on at that time. We had a big focus on the bed and breakfasts and the
Group homes.
group homes, and really, that, not that this wasn't important, it isn't important, but that was a big focus that
Yeah.
we worked on it and got complete and got it in the legislation, so.
Yep,
I
but
just-
we
I just
still
wanna
take
back you up a little bit,
responsibility for it.
including
Thank you, we
ourselves. I think
appreciate that.
You do a lot of work, and, you know, sometimes you prioritize, and that's what happened. That's how I kind of look at it.
Not to mention COVID was during that.
Yeah, it was a lot. We got through a lot at that time. I know Nikki has to leave at 6 o'clock, okay? Because I guess she has stuff to do on
She has a life.
Friday night.
She's got a
Not that any of us have anything to do,
She's
but,
got a hot date.
So we got that. So the other thing, and that's why, Jennifer, if you want to talk about that, and Nikki, if you need to weigh in on anything, and then kind of tell John what, you might get you in on the loop, what we'd like to do. But go ahead, Jennifer.
We had a meeting with the chief back in April, it actually was, and he had presented, no, it was March, I'm sorry. And he had presented an estimate for the cameras being fixed throughout the village. At that time, we asked him if he could possibly get 2 more estimates, so, you know, we could compare them. The estimate that he got was for about $25,000. This estimate says that it's good for 14 days. The only other estimate the chief was able to get was from the same company that Cardinal Health used. That was for over $51,000 for the same work. And he tried with village residents that do similar work. They have not responded to him in the last several months. He's called other companies to see if he could still get a third. He's been told repeatedly, what you got, we're not gonna be able to beat. And we now are kind of in an emergency. We need to quickly get these cameras fixed. The chief believes that it was a combination of age and the extreme heat that we've had that has disabled some more of these cameras. So I have a quote, but I don't know that the quote's good. The chief can ask for an updated quote on Monday, but we would like for him to be able to go ahead and move forward with it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not seeing the quote, I read your email, and the old quote, that quote for $52,000 or whatever it was in there. I didn't see that quote.
This one chief passed out to us, and I believe he passed it out to all of us because
Okay.
I had it in a COW meeting.
Could you refresh
I didn't
me
see
then
that.
and
Sure.
tell me, or tell us how many cameras that
Yes.
is and what exactly they're
I'll
going
read
to
it
do?
right to you, and I'll make copies for you guys. I just
Thank you.
found it tonight before the meeting in my notes. It says, "Dear Mr. Kwiatkowski, we propose to furnish the necessary labor, equipment, and materials to install the surveillance system for the subject project in accordance with the attached scope of work for the sum of $24,900. The proposal is based on all work being performed during normal working hours. This quotation will remain valid for our acceptance of your purchase order or contract within 14 days after the above date. All of our work is guaranteed for 1 year after the item was physically installed. We thank you for this opportunity to be of service. The scope of work includes the labor of realigning monitors on east wall and dispatch, install articulating wall mount brackets, 55-inch monitor, place NVR and interconnect cables below monitor, place mount surveillance cameras at proposed locations, distribute cabling from NVR to surveillance cameras, place cable support hardware, terminate and certify cabling and connectivity hardware, and program the NVR and cameras. This would include, we would be upgraded to a 16-channel NVR. It would be 8 terabyte hard drive, HDMI cables, wireless mount, articulating wall mount bracket, 55-inch 4K monitor, 15 surveillance cameras to include back boxes and mounting hardware, and a Category 6 CMP rated cable connectivity and support hardware. And I'll make a copy. It's just when I came in tonight, I started flipping through.
One thing when I read that, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing that when I read the previous one for $50-some thousand, it had a monitor in there already. Do we really need a monitor? Yeah, and I'm just asking, I don't expect an answer, I'm just,
My understanding is that we would, because these components all work together as one
Okay.
unit. So yeah, I know they did say in the other one.
do they state, I know you read the whole thing, but is there somewhere written where these 15 cameras will be located?
Various locations, I can tell you, through the village, outside of the village hall here, and the police department, and would be included at T.G. Young Park.
And I know the previous one for $50-some thousand had like 6 cameras or something like that at T.G. Young Park. How many does this include at
I
T.G.
can't tell you
Young?
that offhand.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I did walk the property with the chief when he brought this up. Some of these cameras, they haven't worked for a long while.
Right.
So basically, they're just gonna put cameras where there are already cameras, but they don't work. So I believe he told me, I think there's just 2 cameras up at the park. I think one coming in and one at in the pavilion. The rest of them are pretty much here in the building. Well, I walked the building with him and he showed.
Okay.
We have one up on the roof here for the parking lot and it's never
It
been
doesn't
hooked
work.
up. So whether they're gonna try to just hook that back up or what they're gonna do there.
I believe the chief said everything, well, they would be all new cameras,
Okay.
not
Yeah,
hooking it up, so
That
there's,
Yeah, so-
probably wouldn't even work.
right.
Yeah, that was another thing. What cameras are compatible with their system, so they basically have to replace everything, so.
And Chief said he could possibly just replace the NVR at the park, but that could be $5,000 alone.
Right, that's-
No.
So I guess the question is, I have no problem as the mayor with approving the expenditure, but council needs approval because there's gonna be an appropriation for that amount of money that we would have to account for, correct, Nikki? That we'd have to make an appropriation. So we were just talking like, we could have, I don't know if we really need to have a meeting, or we can, I still have to give the blessing to the chief. We can put an amount in there not to exceed, and then when he gets the final, gets it re-quoted, okay, we could distribute that quote to everybody. Just, you follow me, John, so we know that we're doing this right. Distribute that quote, and then if, council, basically signs off on it, whether it's an email or whatever, it says, hey, we're good with that, mayor, make that expenditure, but that would give you time unless you want to have another meeting or whatever, or wait until, I don't know how everybody feels. I'm just kind of throwing out another way. In other words, it would, so it'd give us, you know, you can make a motion for the appropriation, not to exceed, we'll get a new quote, we'll distribute that quote, then you give an approval for the quote,
Right.
and then we can move forward with it.
Mr.
So
Mayor?
that's, but is that what you were?
Well, I was
how
just
are you-
wondering if we said, like, just putting it out there, not to exceed $30,000, and it came in at 32, you would be able to approve that extra.
Right. Anything over $6,000 or $5,000, I have to notify
Right.
council.
So I'm
But
just,
you guys have to make an appropriation too, so
All right.
we're all, it's all one. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
know, you guys ain't gonna appreciate me if I have all these things that I come to you and say, well, Mayor, we'd like to weigh on it, we would like to weigh in on it a little bit. We're the final say-so here.
Mr.
So-
Mayor, as far as I'm concerned, this is an unfortunate part of doing business these days. I don't want to spend $25,000 or $30,000 on cameras, but I think it would be egregious of us to not have cameras, security cameras for our residents and our children up at T.G. Young Park. So I would agree to do whatever, do this.
Mr. Mayor, also one of the cells downstairs, you have to have a camera in order to use the cell. You have to have a camera on them, so I would agree
Yeah.
too, that something, you know, this is,
Mayor Colgraf,
Yes.
as it relates to the appropriation, would council have to come back to amend the current appropriations with the county, or what's approved with the county? Would we need to do anything with that?
I would have to see what we have left in repair and maintenance for the building, to answer that question.
Okay. So the other question, or other comment I had, Mayor Colgraf, is, you know, knowing that we would be seeking, or the chief would be seeking a current or updated quote, and should that quote change, instead of us agreeing to a not to exceed amount publicly, that if as long as it falls within your purview, the mayor's authorization level, that we would just leave it, you know, we all agree to make for this to happen, that we would just leave it at your discretion and to notify council of that price versus plugging in a not to exceed amount.
I'm good as long as whatever the fiscal officer, Nikki, whatever you're comfortable with, and John, I mean, you know, I want you to be, you know, the financial end of it as far as what our reporting and how we should do it. Is that okay?
Mayor, I've got to relook at, see what your authority is to be, I wasn't prepared to address that, I got to say tonight.
Okay,
But
that's
whatever,
fine.
I'll look at it quickly, I just
Okay.
don't want to say
Yeah.
anything.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would definitely would want that reviewed, because
right.
that's why, if we would say, because that quote is so old, if it would go up to, say, 28,000 or 30,000, then say it went to 31, you could just go ahead and approve it at that point. But if we're going from 25 right now to 31, you won't be able to.
right.
But I would definitely be, you know,
Yeah.
saying yes to have this done, have this changed and upgraded.
And I think
Yes.
really, from what I know, as far as my authority, I think if it's deemed a health and safety issue,
Yeah.
you can do it almost at any time,
Right.
you know, because it gives you that authority to things. So, okay, we'll look into it. So I think so you don't think we need a motion tonight or anything? Probably just leave it and then just do it all through some kind of approval process. Otherwise, if we needed to have a meeting, we can have a meeting.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
what everybody's
Yeah.
comfortable with? I'm good with that too, whatever you guys are comfortable with.
Yeah, I did speak with the chief today, and so I'm going to speak to him again over the weekend to be sure that first thing Monday morning, because he has to leave early, but he'll be back later on Monday. He was off today.
Right. you know, we might have, who knows, something, and maybe we'll, strike oil up on the corner lot, and we'll have to have an emergency meeting, because, I had to get it from here to the refinery, wouldn't that be great? I know we're trying not to have, some meetings in a recess, but I know every year we say that, and we ended up sometimes having more than we do in our regular, months, so, okay, we'll do, we had the discussion, which is good, and we'll, have John research it a little bit and see what we need to do and get more detail for everybody with that, and then we'll get the planning commission meeting, scheduled too.
Okay.
Any other, go ahead,
I
John.
would just say, Nikki, can you do a findings of recovery against this company, just to make sure that, you know, they've had no problems? I don't know, what's the name of the company, just real quick?
Great Lakes Telecom and Electric, LLC.
Maybe do a findings of recovery, you know, how to, you know, to make sure there's
I'll
no
give you a
adverse
copy of this, Nikki.
rulings
Oh,
against
yeah.
them, and,
We've used them before.
yeah, we, okay, I wasn't familiar with it. And how old is the quote already?
It was from March
ready
14th
to
of this
do
year.
Right, so it's already expired, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's only good for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Tell-
ask them to extend it for like 30
Tell
or
the
60
chief
days
to
if
say,
they
"You
wouldn't
got your
mind. you know.
25 grand, go put in the cameras.
Okay. Any other items for other business? From the residents? Any residents? Yes?
Any concerns about the reception in Walton Hills for internet or, is that ever come up as an issue?
You mean-
Always,
Yeah.
always.
Oh, I'm sitting here.
Actually, the village hall is kind of a dead zone.
We've,
Go ahead, bro.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. We've dealt with that in the past for several years. I personally dealt with it both on the internet side and the cell side. They've told us good luck getting cell, you know, like a cell tower here. You know, they're more working on, like the SpaceX stuff with the cell and the satellite service, so it's nationwide, so as long as you can see the sky, you can have cell service. Internet service also is the same. I've been told we can put service in 2 apartment buildings in Bedford and have more customers than we do in Walton Hills. So we're not expanding, you know, since then fiber
Not condensed
network.
enough.
Right, so since then fiber network has come into some parts, I'm not sure
Yes.
if it's in
Yeah,
all
I have it.
parts.
I have it.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, yeah, well,
Um,
I'm special.
Yeah, but yeah, we've been dealing with this for a long time and looking at options. We've sent out requests for proposals in the past, and you get nothing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, John.
I can tell you that some residents have told me they've got very good cell service with like Consumer Cellular or Track Phone, Cricket, because those cell services use all the cell towers. It's not like Verizon just uses Verizon towers and stuff. So that's what I've heard.
But your answer, are we actively doing it? No, we don't have nothing like, you know what I mean, like, nothing.
For a small fee, you can walk over to my house and use my landline if you'd like.
My
Small
grandkids didn't
fee.
know what that noise
Get
was.
that part for the small fee, yeah.
I have a landline.
I do too.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically not a landline anymore, but,
Quite the neighbor.
yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I'd ask for a motion for adjournment.
Mayor Colgraf, a motion to adjourn the special council meeting of Friday, June 27, 2025 at 6:06 PM.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Nielsen. Vote on the motion.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cantoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned at 6:06 PM. You know what, I had a couple things I should have said. Well, we do have the Bedford Parade, we are gonna be in it. Anybody? Yep, for the 4th of July. Of course, the lake has its party. really, that was it. I just, we did put, the information for the parade in your mailbox, so you know what time to meet up there or whatever. And if anybody wanted to bring somebody or something like that, you know, friends are like I know in the past, Ray, you brought family, I think Jennifer, I mean, more than welcome.
I may have grandchildren in town, so.
Yeah, that, you know, you're more than welcome, so.
Tom, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, yes, that was.
You know, when the mayor, I asked them, I said, do you want to have a meeting to discuss this? And they replied, we're gonna have it on Friday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, well,
And in my 30 years of government service, I have never had a 5 o'clock Friday meeting.
Well, we had to get Nikki out of here at
So,
6.
so